Hey guys, it's Mike Chen. The power of a symbol or an icon bears more weight than its equivalent in words or text. A well-designed symbol or logo can speak volumes about, for example, a company's values, heritage, and objectives. And all throughout history, mankind has been exposed to and has been creating symbols for over millennia. From prehistoric cave paintings that tell stories to emojis used to convey thought instead of using words, they all have been an integral part of our development as a species, as well as our civilization. And like our species, symbols and icons have evolved, and unfortunately for many of them have lost their true meaning and what they really stand for. So in today's video, we're going to explore 10 iconic and popular symbols in history that really don't mean what we think they mean. Number 10, the caduceus. Often seen in medical facilities or as part of a logo of a medical organization, the caduceus has been synonymous with doctors and health workers around the world. Known as the staff of the Greek god Hermes, it is often depicted as a winged rod entwined by two serpents. Unfortunately though, for Hermes' staff, it has been employed in the wrong context since Hermes has really no association with health or healing. I mean, it was the Greek god Asclepius who is the deity for medicine and healing. He also bore a staff that only had one coiled snake and no wings. You see, the confusion came from the honest mistake of a US Army Medical Corps officer who accidentally mixed the two symbols up. Because of this, the caduceus has been interpreted as the symbol for healing and medicine. In other parts of the world, it is a symbol of commerce, since Hermes was the patron of merchants and tradespeople. Number 9, fleur-de-lis. One of the most recognizable symbols in history and pop culture, the fleur-de-lis has been part of almost every visual medium you can think of, from architecture to interior design to letter envelopes. It is certainly one that has endured the ravages of time and history. In its original form, the fleur-de-lis was a modification of the Gaulish lily that represented the Virgin Juno and was used widely by goddess worshippers in the ancient times. Today, however, the stylized motif, the one we are most familiar with, is used to represent French royalty as well as the nobility. It has also been employed in fashion and modern art as well as pop culture avenues that have unfortunately drastically diluted the true symbolic representation of the icon. Number 8, the Bluetooth icon. You would think that something as ubiquitous as the Bluetooth icon on your phone has no ancient origin, but that's where you're greatly mistaken. The technology was first invented and introduced to the public by the Swedish telecom company Ericsson. Since then, of course, it has been a great part of our digitally connected lives. The symbol itself was composed of two parts, the H rune called Hagel and the B rune called Jarnken, letters that echo back to the country's Viking past. Incidentally, it was also the symbol of Denmark's first Viking king, Harald Blatant, and in a not so peculiar twist of coincidence, Blatant roughly translates from Swedish as Bluetooth. Now, the Bluetooth symbol is perhaps one of the ancient icons that have retained a large part of its meaning despite the fact that many of us take the technology for granted, because during the lifetime of King Harald, during the 10th century AD, he was exalted as the king who managed to, well, unite, or in terms of the technology, connect all the Danish tribes and take over Norway, where he ruled as king until his death. Number 7, the all-seeing eye. The symbol of the all-seeing eye is used throughout different beliefs and religions, but it's most strongly associated with the Christian faith as a representation of the all-seeing eye of God. In other customs, it is used as a symbol of spiritual sight, higher knowledge, inner vision, and insight into the occult. Depending on the custom that adopts it, the symbol usually embraces the supernatural and religious aspects. These days, however, it has been used mostly as a symbol of surveillance and control, a far cry from its religious symbolism. Number 6, skull and crossbones. This symbol has two established and widely accepted meanings in this modern age. One appears as a graphic warning on poison labels, and the other, thanks to popular culture, appears as the universally known symbol for pirates, despite the fact that pirate colors or symbols vary from one person or group to another. In Spain, in the earlier centuries of the world, the symbol of the skull and crossbones is used as a means to mark cemeteries and graveyards. To this day, many early century graveyards and even old churches have traces of the skull and crossbones where they once had or still have catacombs and crypts. Number 5, the barber's pole. It is not a surprise to find a red and white striped pole outside a barber shop, right? The symbol has been used for centuries and is unlike many symbols on this list because it's still directly associated with the profession it represents. Today, we see it as a harmless means to advertise the establishment. However, the origin of the pole dates back to the earlier centuries when barbers were expected to do much more than just shave and cut hair. As far back as the Roman times and as late as the Victorian age, barbers were skilled surgeons whose most popular procedure was bloodletting. In some regions, they were also skilled dentists who could offer to get rid of your toothache after a nice trim. So the red stripes on the pole was originally a white white rag that barbers would use to wipe up blood after a procedure. They would then hang it outside of their shops where the wind would sometimes blow hard to wrap the rag around the pole where it hung to advertise, well, their profession. Number 4, the ichthys fish. The pronunciation of the word is a bit tricky because there seems to be 2 ways to say it, but however you choose to say it, there is no doubt that you have come across this symbol at least once in your life, most probably on the rear end of a car while you're stuck in traffic. Ichthys fish is strongly associated with Christianity and with Jesus Christ himself. At the height of the Roman Empire after the death of Jesus, the members of the newly formed secret sect called Christians would identify each other by the use of the ichthys. When 2 supposedly Christians meet in public, one of them would draw the first arc of the symbol, the other, to confirm his Christian identity, would complete the drawing with the other arc. While Christians made the symbol more iconic and popular, the ichthys fish predates Christianity and was used by pagans as a symbol they associate with the Great Mother, a deity known for fertility. After the rise of the early church, Christians fell out of love with the ichthys and preferring the crucifix much more. However, in some Christian sects, the symbol is still very much alive. Number 3, the peace symbol. Unlike other symbols on this list, the peace symbol really have no ancient origin and is one of the youngest icons created. Mostly associated with the hippie movement of the 60s, the peace symbol is universally known and is used as means to show pacifism, restraint, understanding, and tolerance. While the meanings tacked onto the symbol were well intended, the real message it delivers seems to have been forgotten. Designed by Gerald Holtom, the symbol bore one simple message: nuclear disarmament. The symbol, according to Holtom, is of a man standing with his arms stretched outward and downward as if facing a firing squad. Unable to copyright the image, Holtom's symbol then became a popular way to symbolize freedom and, as we now know it, peace. Number 2, the pentagram. Mostly seen nowadays as the symbol for Satanism and demonic worship, the pentagram is perhaps one of the most maligned and misunderstood symbols to have existed. As a matter of fact, the pentagram actually predates Satanism and Masonry because of records that trace its use in much more ancient times. The 5-pointed star has been discovered scratched on the walls of caves in Babylonia, and several historical records show the ancient Greeks believed it to have mystical and magical properties. In ancient astronomy, the pentagram is believed to have originated from the path that the planet Venus takes at night in relation to the Earth's position in an 8-year cycle. It may even surprise you to know that the pentagram for a short time even stood as a symbol that represents the 5 wounds that Jesus Christ received during his crucifixion. Finally, number 1, and I've talked about this before, the swastika. Since the Second World War and the rise of Nazi totalitarianism in Germany, the swastika has become a representation of hate and bigotry. The symbol has been associated so much with the Nazi movement and the horrors that it brought that many European countries have shunned its image. But before Hitler and his henchmen got their hands on the otherwise geometrically pleasing symbol, the swastika was a symbol that represented life and creation in the Hindu faith and harmony in Buddhism. The swastika was actually used by many ancient civilizations all around the world, a fact that points out that it absolutely predates Nazism. Civilizations such as the Romans, Egyptians, Celtics, Chinese have used different versions of the swastika in architecture and art. In modern times, before the outbreak of the Second World War, the swastika enjoyed a brief moment of wholesome use, such as appearing as symbols in the Finnish and Latvian air forces, as well as part of the logo of the Danish brewing company Carlsberg. Tragically for the swastika, it may never recover from the dark shroud it was given due to the atrocities of the Nazi movement. This one is really sad because it is one of the most mysterious and compassionate symbols in history. In Buddhism, the swastika actually symbolizes a Buddhist level. In the higher a Buddhist level, the more swastikas they have on their bodies. That's why if you go to China or India, you'll see a lot of Buddha statues with swastika symbols on them. Even today, it is still used widely in Hinduism and Buddhism. So it is tragic that a lot of people in the world actually don't know the true meaning of the symbol. But anyway, guys, if you want to learn more about it, I'll link a video for you in my description box below. Thank you all so much for watching. See you later.